Hey everybody, welcome back to some more early morning barking, talking about BPD and NPD by somebody that has both. I'm back. If you're watching this in the future, of course, it doesn't matter. I've not made a video for ages, but hello, here I am. It's all good, and it's good to be making videos again. I was struggling for a little bit, but we'll see how this one goes, okay? I haven't made a successful video yet. You're the guinea pigs for this. So I want to talk about boundaries in relationships. I want to talk about moving on after us. I want to talk about all kinds of stuff to do with BPD, NPD relationships. But this is for like the neurotypical people, rather than the people suffering from the thing, although arguably don't we all suffer? Couple of things, right? Because I'm seeing this around, and I get this in messages, I get this in comments, all that sort of thing, you know, like my girlfriend slash boyfriend slash significant other keeps splitting on me, doing this, and I keep taking them back. Will they ever stop? And I kind of wanted to address that stuff because the answer is a very clear no, right? You know, for some of us, in some ways, we need to change, especially in relationship type stuff, you know. If we can keep hoovering you back up after we make mistakes or break boundaries or that sort of thing, then we're gonna keep doing that, because why would we not, right? The alternative is getting fixed, and that's hard and difficult, right? We might have to face some things and go through some emotional turmoil. It's far easier to just carry on as we are doing, right? And, you know, go and check out my video on relationship hoovering. That's a good one, actually, where we have this habit of like pushing people away in one form or another, be that sort of breaking up with them or just being in a way that makes them leave us, and then hoovering them back up again, like, oh, I didn't mean it, I've changed, it'll be different this time, etc., etc., convincing people to come back, and then just repeating the process over and over again. And people can stay caught up in that for as long as they want to stay caught up in that. And what I'm having trouble understanding, I think, and this is, you know, speaking as the person with BPD, NPD, like, I don't understand why some people want to stay caught up in that. Like, with all the love in the world, fellow sufferers, at our worst, we're a nightmare, right? We can all admit that comfortably, otherwise we'd be fine, wouldn't we? But at our worst, we're a nightmare. And I don't understand how people put up with that. And it must be very difficult. It must be very hard for the people who love us. But I'm someone who feels there should become a limit on that. You know, to what degree are we someone else's responsibility if we're constantly hurting them one way or another? You know, what level of responsibility does a neurotypical, fine, healthy individual have a responsibility of putting up with that? And I don't think there really is one, is there? And so I think for people who are putting up with us, I'm being harsh on us, aren't I? I'm sorry. You know, if you set boundaries, if you do X, then I will Y, you need to stick to those. Otherwise, why would we change? Why would we get better? Why would we ever do anything different? Because we can just rely on you to let us break boundaries. They're not really boundaries. You don't really mean it. You're just messing about. You're just saying that, you know? I didn't think you meant it, because you haven't meant it so many times. And the longer you leave this, the harder it gets to enforce boundaries, right? Because it's going to be a sudden change, and enforcing boundaries on people always makes them kick and scream, right? Whoever they are, whatever the boundaries are, no one likes boundaries. And if it's something that you've been tolerating for so long, or just letting those boundaries be broken down so many times, when you suddenly start trying to enforce those boundaries, it's going to become a shock. It's going to come hard to that person that you're enforcing them against. And so the longer you've been doing that, the worse it's going to be. Which isn't to say now you're stuck now forever. You have to just keep putting up with that behavior. No, you need to enforce these boundaries. And that's something that I see quite commonly, is this lack of enforced boundaries. Well, sort of setting them and then letting them be broken. And I understand it's tough because, like I say, we kick and scream. There is argument against it, against these boundaries that you put up, because ultimately we're getting what we want out of something, right? This goes for both of my personality disorders. This works on narcissism. But you aren't getting what you want out of this situation, right? You're getting pain and suffering and upset and arguments and crying and stress, and that's not why you're with somebody, is it? That's not a reason to be with someone. Yet you're with us and you're getting that. And so there needs to be a limit, I think, where you have to, if you can tell everybody what we do and then have somebody ask, so why are you with them? You've got to have a good answer for that question, I think. And if we keep just breaking your boundaries, then you have to not put up with it. Otherwise, why are we going to change? And don't get bent out of shape. This is not me saying, if you're with someone with a cluster B personality disorder, you shouldn't be. They deserve to be alone. I'm not saying anything like that. I hold my hand up and say, look, a good relationship is possible. I'm in one. I'm very happy. And we have a very good relationship, and it's totally possible. So I would never say, dismiss somebody on the grounds of them having a cluster B personality disorder. But what I am saying is, don't put up with their rubbish. Because if they're not getting help, if they're not improving, if they're not working to become better, then these boundaries that you don't enforce, this behavior that causes you upset, is going to continue, because why would it not? And so don't let your life be dragged down by this too. We kind of have no choice, right? This is an affliction. No one chose BPD or MPD. This is just happening to us. But to a certain extent, you have a choice, and you get to pull the ripcord and say, this is where I bail out. And sometimes we've got that coming, I think. That seems fair. I'm trying to just be fair and frank, really. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm not having a go at anybody. And I'm not saying that all these behaviors are guaranteed in all people with personality disorders, but we can do this. It's stuff I'll have been through in the past. It's stuff we'll have a lot of experience with between us, And so I think it's worth mentioning. I think it's worth watching out for, because it breaks my heart when I see all the people saying that, my BPD partner is just emotionally destroying me with their ups. It's heartbreaking. At some point, you have to be able to say that you don't want that pain anymore. And I guess, I don't know, it's great that you can do that, and sad that we can't. But what, do we expect you to suffer unnecessarily? I don't know. Well, this is a great cheery topic for a comeback, isn't it? I've depressed myself. I was in a much better mood when I started. Anyway, most people switch off now, but not you guys. Because I've said the anyway, like I'm going to do the shutdown, and I am. But I just want you to know that for the people who haven't already clicked off, I love you guys. You're great. Check me out on Patreon. Thank you for your support of the channel. It really is awesome. Thank you for a couple of people who've done super chats and super thanks while I've been away. I really appreciate that. Thank you, people. And what else? One-to-ones are available. There's links below. I might be experimenting with a QR code. I'm not going to now I've said that. Oh dear. Never mind. But yeah, I'm back now. More videos to come on various things. If you have anything you want me to talk about, as per usual, let me know. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to all of that. You take care. I'll see you later. Bye.